Today we announce our policy to deal with the old arrivals. That's to say the 30,000 people who have come illegally by boat and who have not yet been processed by the current government. And the key to our position here, it's been a strong and consistent position for 10 years now, is that people who come illegally by boat will not be granted permanent residency. People who come here illegally by boat will get temporary protection visas. So after they have been assessed, the 30,000 people currently here who have come illegally by boat awaiting assessment won't get permanent residency. They will get temporary protection visas. There's also going to be new fast-track processes for the assessment of people who are here illegally by boat, and I'll get Scott to talk about those in a moment. But the essential point to make is that this is our country and we determine who comes here. This is our country and we determine who comes here. That was the position under the last coalition government. That will be the position under any future coalition government. Tragically for Australia and tragically for so many people, it hasn't been the position under the current government. I want to thank Scott for his extraordinary work in this area. Scott has been a remarkably effective Shadow Minister. He's shown tremendous strength, tremendous consistency and forthrightness, but he's also shown a touch of compassion, which you have to show when you are dealing with an issue as sensitive as this. So I'd ask Scott to support these remarks.
Thank you very much, Tony. As Tony said, there are twin challenges for an incoming government, and if the coalition is elected, these are those challenges. Firstly, you've got to stop the boats, and that's what Operation Sovereign Borders is all about. The policy that we're handing out today is about dealing with the legacy backlog of Labor's border failure over the last 5-6 years. Over 50,000 people have turned up. Around 15,000 of those Labor have given permanent visas to already. There are 30,000 people now who are still in that system and are waiting a decision that they will get on the other side of the election. Kevin Rudd wants you to pretend that these 30,000 people are not here. Those 30,000 people will be the most enthusiastic about a Labor victory because those 30,000 individuals will have the opportunity of a permanent visa under Kevin Rudd that they will not have under an Abbott-led coalition government. That is because temporary protection visas are important, not just as a deterrent to stop boats coming, but also to deal with this very significant challenge of the 30,000 people that Kevin Rudd has already let in, and if he has the chance on the other side of the election, he will give them a permanent visa with family reunion rights, with pathway to citizenship and the ability to come and go as they please. Temporary protection visas have been our policy for over a decade. What's announced here in this policy today goes over again how those policies and how those visas will operate. They will run for a period of up to 3 years. The specific period of time that will be given will be done on a case-by-case basis, working through the department. What will happen at the end of that period of a temporary protection visa is there is the opportunity to once again assess someone's refugee status. And if they're found not to be refugee at that point, well, they will be put on a removal pathway. Those who are given temporary protection visas will, if they receive welfare benefits, be required to work for those welfare benefits. Work rights were part of the last temporary protection visa scheme under the Howard government, and they would be consistent with our international obligations under this scheme. Also, under what you've got today, no longer will anyone waiting at a camp or waiting offshore, family members of Australians, if they've come from Africa or they've come from Myanmar or other places, No longer will it be the case that someone who comes on a boat will take the place of someone who would otherwise get that visa under our refugee and humanitarian program. Under the Howard government, over 5,000 special humanitarian visas were being given a year. That figure in 2011-12 under the Labor Party fell to just over 700. Thousands of people have been denied the protection that Australia would have decided to give them as a sovereign country, and they have been denied that under this government because this government is handing out those visas to people who come on boats. That will end under an Abbott government. Thirdly, those who throw their documents away and can be reasonably found to have done that, they won't go to the back of a queue to wait longer for their permanent visa, as is the policy of the Labor Party. They won't be in the queue at all. If you throw your documents away, then under Section 91W of the Act, we will use the powers there to deny status in those cases. And fourthly, we will end Labor's tick and flick approach to assessments. Over 9 out of 10 people who are coming by boats are being recognised under Labor's scheme, as they've hardwired appeals back through the Refugee Review Tribunal back into the courts. What this has produced is cases where, even where there is a no decision being provided by case officers, under this government's appeals process, around 80% of those no's are being turned into yeses. No wonder Australians are questioning whether this is a fair income system which is being operating under this government. So we will, based on the detained fast-track system in the UK, which I had the opportunity to look at firsthand earlier this year, we will put in place a similar system. What that will do will enable us to triage that caseload of 30,000 people and start working through that system to process those where a decision can be made readily and prioritise those who on an initial screening look to be likely negative. So we can get on the job with removing people far more quickly than this government has been able to do. And there's been some very impressive results of that in the UK, where we have 62% of people with negative decisions being removed within 3 months, and twice as likely to enable people to be removed in the UK in detention than they are when they're left in the community. The final point is this, and this relates to the point of offshore processing. You would have seen in the economic statement that the government is looking to spend $58 million on establishing a detention centre in Singleton. Not in Nauru, not in Manus Island, but in Singleton. Offshore processing is not done in Singleton. It's done in Manus Island and it's done in Nauru. And that's why the Coalition will scrap Labor's plans for a $58 million detention centre in Singleton, and we will use that resource to expand the capacity that I had the opportunity to announce when I was in Nauru several weeks ago. So that's how we will be able to fund that commitment.